Good morning, everybody. This is Tim Fraser and at 5D Options, and I'm here to talk about cloud again. This is, I believe, the next round in discussion around cloud. Now, there's quite a bit of vegetable soup in the cloud language, so I want to kind of take some of the noise out of the way. You probably heard the terms SaaS, which is Software as a Service, and PaaS, which is Platform as a Service, IaaS, which is Infrastructure as a Service, and then you get mixes and matching of all these things. You get, talk about private cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud, government cloud, various ways of describing a deployment framework. So here's kind of the basics. I was asked to put together some foundational information on this language, because there's a lot of confusion about cloud and cloud strategy and how the language of cloud plays into this. This is just literally just vegetable soup to some of you. If you are first time looking at the cloud, so this may be of give you some clarity. But if you're actually somebody who's using the cloud, I'll give you some of my methodology on how I rationalize the deployment framework for cloud for various things. Now, let's just start with the very beginning. Let's just start from the very top. If you look at the infrastructure that it takes to support an application or software and all that, there's foundations at the very bottom level. Physical servers and all that stuff. That's all gone away in terms of in the cloud. You don't worry about those things. You just look at what is an infrastructure, virtual infrastructure, compute network and storage is the primary things in that space. Now, that's the platform down at the bottom of the cake. That's your foundation. The next level up is what's termed as platform as a service. So just having a server doesn't do any good. You got to have some software to manage the environment, just some software to pull all the pieces together in terms of an application, application load balancing, application deployment tools, developer ecosystem, enriching the developer user experience for a rich cloud deployment. And that's really the platform layer tools that allows you to be able to use these mixing and matching of various products and tools in the ecosystem for cloud. And in the case of Amazon, for example, Amazon has a very rich ecosystem. Azure does as well. But I'm going to talk, like I said before, about Amazon, because I think Amazon has a marketplace that is people can understand. You can actually go online and buy additional software packages that will augment your solution. So that's really a developer ecosystem where you can help developers create some very unique things. So reasonably customized, but yet standardized around software tools and technologies that you use. So it helps accelerate, but still stay inside a kind of what I call a rich ecosystem that a developer can be very creative and create things. And then you pretty much can own that stuff if you build it in a certain way. Now, the third piece is the software as a service, and that's probably the very first thing most companies look at. If you, for example, are using Google Email or Microsoft Outlook in the cloud, or all those tools are software services that are available. You can just buy those services and pay monthly, like a lot of us do. Storage solutions like Dropbox and OneDrive. All those are solutions that are software solutions that are software as a service. You don't own anything. All you do is run your credit card, you run the transactions, you upload your files, whatever you do, and you get a bill at the end of the month. And if you don't like it, you stop it. You don't like it, you move away, right? So that is the software as a service. Now, in a cloud strategy, it's really important to realize that it takes years and years and years to develop software, and it takes even more if you build data centers, and if you takes more if you're even building data centers. So if you really go down the stack, it gets very difficult to justify the spend nowadays, because the costs have come down so far that it's really competitive to use these cloud services in a rich way. Using these services at what I call software as a service is very appealing. It's very appealing to a lot of companies. Salesforce.com, look at various applications you use, like Microsoft 360. Those are actually software services using software as a service as a foundation for building your cloud strategy is actually not a bad thing. It helps enrich your user experience with your clients, your people who want to use it, your business units. They want to simply take data, put it someplace, and analyze it, do something with it. They're not interested in turning the knobs and controlling the environments and all that kind of stuff. They don't care. They have no interest in that. They don't have the skills anyway. Most of the time, what I find with a lot of my companies that I talk to, they really want to leverage software as a service. The problem is software as a service, if you look at a spectrum from highly customized, which is infrastructure as a service, to almost no customization, which is software as a service. Software as a service is out here, which means all you are responsible for is using the product, and it's your data. When you're done with it, you can a lot of times export your data, take it with you if they're not trying to lock you in. But it's really about just using a tool. Guess what happens when you just use a tool? Everybody else can use the same tool. They're all doing the same thing. So it's not super strategic in terms of intellectual property, controlling your application customization, which may be actually a really, really good thing. So a lot of companies are moving towards using software as a service because it's just commodity anymore. You just want to get something out the door. You're not worried about that. You may use software as a service also as a strategic piece of your arsenal, because that software as a service may actually unify your application integration. So you may create, pick one that allows better interfaces, and now you can do much more rich things that you could not have done, because if you try to write that software yourself and use it in an interface way, you'd have to spend lots of time developing the APIs, the platform, the networking, all that stuff that goes in, and that just comes out of the box. You just get it, right? So software as a service is a very appealing first step. When you're looking at a cloud-first strategy, software as a service is a very viable option. You just need to be able to understand how locked in are you. Is the vendor being aggressive enough in their software development lifecycle to be able to truly innovate and give you features fast enough for your ecosystem? You should ask questions like, is their product unified from mobile devices all the way to their desktop devices? Are they consistent user experiences? So look at the richness of that ecosystem as part of the selection criteria. Look at the ability for these systems to have APIs and interfaces and integration with other third-party products. Because when you buy a silo of these products and you end up with 15 silos, you're going to own the integration problem. So you really want to understand how can that process be made easier, because the next step you would go through potentially is, if you end up buying a bunch of software as a service products, is having to integrate all the data between all of them. You may have a unified view of customer, you may have a unified view of product, you may have a unified view of some of your services. So those may be the pieces that actually fit inside your ERP system, your enterprise management reporting system. All these pieces are fragmented in terms of when you start buying products, and then they hold their data. So you have to ask the question, which of these systems are going to end up being your system of record? Which of these applications are going to end up being your system of record, which will then flow the data to the other systems? So that's a key piece of software as a service. I'm going to cover a platform as a service next, but I'm going to do that on a second video, because I want people to digest this piece first. Software as a service is really a viable first step, but it is not usually where you stop, because you own the integration problem, and you need to do the integration problem not like we used to do it several years ago, just throw data over the fence and move it around. You really need to understand transactional flow, rich data. You need to understand how you're going to do your data analytics. So you need to own some of that. You need to bring the data out of these cloud systems, analyze them, and put them someplace, which means you're going to end up playing a little bit more in the less out of the box and more customizable platform, which is really your platform as a service offering. And if you really get down to it, you really want to be able to do highly customized options, which is the infrastructure as a service, or possibly even go back into a data center model. You may run all your physical servers because you have some highly optimized compute requirements that the application needs to be able to run. So you can start with what I call far left, which is infrastructure either as a service or as a data center, and then you move forward to move towards a infrastructure as a service using virtualization, cloud expansion, elastic cloud, which allows you to burst out and do more compute as you need it, so you don't pay a lot of money for all this infrastructure. And then you can then end up in platform as a service, which is really the developer's ecosystem. This is where the developers can innovate and do a lot of cool things for your business if you allow them to, through your processes, allow them to have the agility and the flexibility to do a lot of things faster. So this is the foundation of the conversation. I'm going to cover platform as a service in the next talk, and I'll cover the infrastructure as a service as well after that. So hopefully this is a high-level overview, and if you like it, please share, please pass along. Love to hear feedback if this is the right level of communication that you guys are needing, because I've got various people, a variant audience on this group now, and quite frankly, if I need to focus on some basic things and some advanced things, I'm going to alternate a little bit so everybody gets a chance to have fun at this. So till the next time, this is Tim Fraser from 5D Options, your tech tips. So enjoy the day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.